corporate finance, and I was like, I feel like I'm more than this. I don't want to be behind the screen all the time. And mind you, at that job, I did have work life balance, but it wasn't fulfilling. I know her through Brendalin&Cora, but she's a realtor. She is. What else are you? Because I know you're a woman. You're a woman. She's a Latina. I am. No, but yeah, I mean, Brendalin&Cora is what I do now full time, along with real estate, which it wasn't a plan for me to like fully go into it. It was just more for personal things and doors started opening and it just happened. But I do have a finance background and I've worked in real estate, the financial industry, investment banking, communications. I mean, it's yeah. So I've had a couple of jobs, which a lot of people would say it's actually bad, you know, because you keep switching jobs. But for me, it was just trying to figure out what it was that I liked and didn't like. And you don't know what you like until you actually try it. So that was kind of my journey, along with obviously going to school. Same thing. Like when you go to college, you're just like, well, gotta take finance and biology. Yeah. Figure out what it is that you want to do. So yeah. Okay. I mean, well, speaking of jobs, I've had a fair share of jobs myself. So I feel like I've learned a lot because I've had those jobs. Absolutely. And I feel like in this day and age, you get more. I feel like they even are looking for people who have that versatility too. So absolutely. Don't feel bad about that. But we are here because mainly because of Brendalin&Cora. But I just wanted to put it out there that you are more than just a fashion entrepreneur, FYI. So when we first met, what kind of gravitated me towards you was your story. If I could remember, and this was a while ago, you said that you had all that you were talking, and all I heard was that you left your 9 to 5 to move full time into Brendalin&Cora. It was more like a 9 to whenever you're done working. I cannot. But even so, like it's a job. It is. It's a job that you have to wake up every day, get started, like go to work, have people tell you what to do. Yeah. And I know it was something that you had to figure your way to get out of because and not all 9 to 5s are glamorous, but some, it's hard to juggle. Yeah. No, especially with consulting. So just to give a little bit of background, I was doing consulting with Deloitte, which is one of the big four companies considered in consulting and accounting. So when you enter one of these companies, it's like entering like a Harvard of school, but just within consulting. Like the moment you have one of these companies under your name, is like any other job you apply to would want you. That's kind of like the quote unquote prestige it has. Which don't get me wrong, I learned a lot while working at Deloitte, and I got a lot of experience. But I also worked a lot. I was traveling Monday through Thursday, which is a lot for I mean every week. Um, and I was going to Ohio. I mean, I was traveling to Texas, and your days don't truly ever end, if that makes sense. It's like you have calls, but then you gotta get ready on Monday or actually Sunday to prepare to fly. And sometimes you have to fly out on Sunday or Monday. And that time you're not paid for. What? The travel time you're not paid for. So people, when they see, oh yeah, consulting, like you get to travel all the time and all these things, the travel that you like, the time that you actually spent on the plane is not paid for because you are paid by salary. So it's just part of your job essentially. Which obviously it's every industry is different. Um, yes, they did pay very well. I'm not going to lie. We had really good time off, but it wasn't a balance for me. I was there for 2 years, and due to the constant traveling and all of that, I was under a lot of stress that affected my health. I ended up having to go through surgery twice because of stress. I think the stress brought out
undercover issues that I had that I was never aware of. So it just brought it all out. I had surgery. I was, out of work for probably like 3 or 4 months. I went back and immediately my body shut down again and I ended up back in the hospital. So that's when I knew I was like, okay, I really have to change something because I can't be working 60 to 100 hours a week for someone else because of money, if that makes sense. And as a highly motivated individual, you obviously are looking for the next thing, like to continue growing financially and whatnot. But it comes to a point in your life where you have to decide, you know, is this worth my health? Is this worth my mental, physical, and emotional health?
To say your mental
Yeah.
health, like, yeah, that really hit home for me. But
Yeah, it's a lot. And it kind of like God literally like slapped me in the face and was like, "You better sit down." Yeah.
so
And at that point, I was also running Brendalin&Cora.
okay.
So
So did you start running on for before this job? Or you
yes,
started while okay, so you had already
yeah,
start going after your
right.
professional like goals and dreams. Okay, so that's good.
Yeah,
Because most people usually start those things while they're at their ninth job because they're like, but I need to figure a way out. Let me start really digging into like the things that I want to pursue. So after you really saw like how everything was affecting with your health and everything, that's when he was like, okay, I need to go full time to Brendalin Cora.
Um, so yeah, that was part of it. I mean, the goal was always to be able to run the business and fully just focus on that. Brendalin&Cora came about in 2018, but the idea, before my business partner joined me, started in 2015 after I graduated college. And that's what I know you were talking about, like, oh, you usually start a job, and while you're out the job, you kind of figure out what you want to do after. So that happened to me when I was working at Verizon Communications in 2015.
Okay.
I was there for like 6 months, and I was like, I'm not. This is this is absurd. At least for me, like it wasn't fulfilling for me. I was doing corporate finance, and I was like, I feel like I'm more than this. I don't want to be behind a screen all the time. And mind you, at that job, I did have work life balance, but it wasn't fulfilling.
Right.
So that's when kind of I started researching and doing, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then 2018 was when it officially like full blown happened. Ivana, which is the Cora, to Brendalin&Cora.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ivana&Cora is my business partner. We joined in 2018 and things just kind of started rolling. We were both working our jobs, full time jobs, and then officially in 2020 was when we both stepped out and took that leap of faith, which is very hard to do when you have a very financially stable job to then decide, you know what, I'm going to take a gamble at this and not have consistent paycheck or until who knows what.
See now you're revealing like the details because most of the times people either feel comfortable where they're at because they come like with their 9 to 5 because the pay is either good
Absolutely.
and they just don't want to put themselves in a situation where it's like they lose out on money or like they put themselves in a situation. So that had to have been 10 times harder for you because you actually had a good job. I mean,
Yeah.
besides the fact that it was taking a toll on your health, but like you left a good job to pursue.
I left an excellent job, a high paying that many, would love to work for one of the top four accounting consulting firms in America, which it was a goal of mine, right, when I was doing my master's. But that, once it's like when you travel somewhere and you're like super excited to go, and then you're like, damn, this isn't what I thought it was.
Like that was me when I went to LA and I was like, I went to LA. I'm gonna see Kim. I'm gonna see everybody. And I went there. I was like, no shade to anybody that's from LA, but truthfully, I didn't really get to explore much. But anyway, that's a side note.
Yeah, so it's kind of that thing where you're like you're in it, and then you're like, okay, I don't really see myself doing this for the next 20 years. So I need to figure something out. And well, for me, it was what's going to be my exit strategy that's going to also support the way that I'm going to, financially support myself because otherwise,
Lifestyle.
yeah. Um, which going into that, I actually ended up moving back into my parents' house because I just financially, I wouldn't have been able to afford to live on my own like I was doing. So what I did was I saved up for 6 months
Before you moved in with your parents.
before I moved in with my parents before I quit my job.
Okay, so let's back up a little.
Yeah.
You before you moved in with your parents, before you even turning your tubes at your job, what was some of the thoughts and feelings that were going through your head before you did any of that? Because you're like, yeah, I get to rent to with my mom and dad. Like, girl, I know anybody leaving their 9 to 5 has to be like to pursue like their business and fashion brand, anything like has to be scary. Like,
And literally, that's the word. Scary, a lot of fear because you don't really know. It's a lot of ambiguity. Um, as much as you try to control it, there's just like, and the main thing is you're not getting a paycheck. Right? Like you're not getting a paycheck. You still have bills you gotta pay. You still have the car. You still got this and that.
yeah,
Luckily for me, I had my parents that I could go back to, which is very important to take into consideration. If you're someone that you don't have if you don't have that support, it's going to be a little more challenging. And that's when I would recommend to not leave your job until you've actually have been making enough money on your side hustle to actually support yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need to be living the same lifestyle that you've been living for the past 3 years, but you need to be able to pay for a place to live so you're not struggling.
Right.
Because then what happens is you start resenting your business and you start thinking
resentment,
yeah, and it's all about positioning at this point in strategy. I think for me, like I said, I got very lucky because my parents are always like, yeah, come back.
Yeah.
They'd love to have me home, but as an adult woman who has already lived by herself and has had her own space,
Yeah.
it was an adjustment for me to have to go back home and readjust to the rules of the house and how everyone moves in the house. Yeah. Even when it came to working. My business was running at that time from my parents' house. So I'm working, sleeping, eating, talking to my parents in that house, which a lot of us obviously experienced during the pandemic. But when you do it with your parents, it's a different dynamic because they think that just because you're home you could do everything else,
right,
and you're not actually working, especially from like a Hispanic home, right?
And a Caribbean home too.
Yeah,
Caribbean done moving back home. Like I would love to move back home, but I just know like exactly what you said. Like I just know it's gonna be different, and you're out of your flow of doing things. So like the environment's different. Like you're with your parents, and you probably might feel uncomfortable doing certain things.
Yes.
Like routines, all of that. So I can imagine. Yeah.
Absolutely. So the routine changes. So that takes an adjustment on yourself to kind of figure out how well how are you going to manage this. So now I had left my job, moved back to my parents' house, trying to figure out. I have 6 months of savings to get this business going to a point where I can actually make some sort of money that can support me financially to an extent. And believe it or not, it happened during the pandemic.
Wow. So let's talk about some of the saving tips and strategies and things that you had to put in place to get you to how much money that you saved before leaving your job. So like what are some of the things that you're doing on a daily basis for your finances? What strategies like what are some tips that you did to what are some tips that you used to help you build your savings before leaving your 9 to 5? And you talk about saving up to 6 months worth of money, but like were there anything else that you did between then, to make sure that when you take this leap, you have some type of yeah, I don't know, like what did you do before doing this leap?
Honestly, it was very important to figure out my saving situation. I am like to the T about my finances. So and just financial security. So that to me was the most important thing. And I was like, you know what? If in 6 months this doesn't work out, I can go back into the workforce. I have a career, I have work experience, I have a degree. So it's not like I'm not going to be able to make money if this were to fail. But for me, it was, and that for a lot of people is going to be the hardest.
Yes, that is the hardest. I mean, even saving on a day-to-day basis just to save that is hard. So for you to like compile all of that into 6 months, like
It's a lot. And it didn't happen like, I have been saving from way before.
okay,
I had personal savings. And then when I started thinking of leaving, I was like, okay, I need to be a little bit more aggressive with my saving pattern. My rule of thumb, when I started Deloitte, I was saving about 10% of my salary. I was putting away. And that's without counting, things going into your 401k, because usually um, corporate companies will have a 401k or Roth IRA. So aside from that, I'm still saving like 10%. The rule usually is to have at least 3 months of your living expenses saved. So that was always my goal. I was like, okay, 10% of my salary every 2 weeks is going into my savings account just in case something happens. I get sick.
yeah,
Which obviously, a lot of companies do have financial assistance or FMLA
yeah,
when you do get sick. So that was a plus for me because when I was sick, I technically was still getting paid,
okay,
but I wasn't working. And then at that point, I went ahead and continued saving as much money as I could. I started doing little side like tutoring on the side just for people who wanted tutoring for finance courses at UCF. I actually even ended up doing what's this thing called? Like teaching kids English online.
that is a skill right now that everyone is talking about tutoring online.
Yeah, tutoring online. So I was doing that with cute little babies from China. They're so adorable. And I am like a huge kid fanatic. I love kids. I know it's gonna come to a point where I'm gonna have my own. But yeah, so I enjoyed that for a little bit, but then it was also taken away from me focusing a little bit more on the business. So I did it for a little bit just for like extra money here and there. I didn't need to, but because of how scared I am of my like financial stability, I was like, hey, I just needed something extra that doesn't take up my entire day. Um, just to have something there aside from the savings. Yeah, and that's how I build it.
And that money that you were making from the tutoring, that was like strictly towards your savings, or
Yeah, I would just put it towards my saving. I wasn't touching it at all. The other thing to take a look at is your overall expenses.
right?
If you have a car payment, which at that point I didn't because my car was paid off. Um, I didn't have car payments. My biggest expense at that point in time was my rent.
Okay,
um, rent, electricity, and all that stuff. So that when I ended up leaving my parents or going to my parents' house, I no longer have those expenses. So my expenses now are over here, which means that if I'm already saved all this money for 3 months,
yeah,
then hey, I have a good cushion of probably an additional
right,
3 months
yeah,
to be able to survive if push comes to shove, which was always the idea. Another thing is I wouldn't eat out that much. I would, which is it's hard because I love to eat.
so you have to hold up. I love food. I like it. It's not just only food. I love eating out. So
Yeah,
does that mean that you, if like, for example, someone wants to go next, like, they like strictly have to cut out eating out? Like,
I would
that's
say
like another reason too. Like, people are scared to be that gym because like they're gonna have to make some serious radical life change, like lifestyle changes.
and you have to be willing to do it. It's just like losing weight. When you want to lose weight, you have to get on the regimen because otherwise, if you're keeping up for a week, you're gonna fall right back into it the next week. And it's if you're not consistent with anything, you're not gonna get anywhere. So what I used to do is I would always cook throughout the week, and then I would treat myself on the weekend.
On the weekend.
It wasn't like a daily thing that I was doing. I was eating, which sometimes when you do work in consulting and you're traveling, there was no way for me to not eat out. Like
Right.
I have to because I'm staying at hotels and they do give you a stipend for that period for like the time period that you're out there. But still, I could save that stipend
Right.
because it's mine.
Right.
So I would kind of like limit what I was eating. I was not starving myself because I could not starve. I love to eat, but I would, figure out, okay, well, instead of having a $20 meal, maybe I'll have a $10 meal. That's 10 extra dollars that are going to my kids' account.
So you don't necessarily have to like stop completely eating, like just eat out the weekends alone. And if you do eat out, like don't go to like a steakhouse or like a seafood thing.
Yeah, okay. It's a what do you call it? It's a temporary sacrifice. Right. Everything in life is temporary. The other thing is the drinking. I don't drink.
You don't.
So I save a whole lot of money. And I've noticed that too because I have had friends that are like, damn, yeah, like I spent a lot of money this weekend drinking, and I'm like,
well, when you said drinking, like you don't drink, but you don't party.
I don't drink.
Because I feel like partying or it costs a lot too. Because yeah, an outfit, it's like a whole thing.
Yeah, no, you won't catch me at a club,
no,
or anything like that, unless it's like one of my really good friends is having a birthday party, and that happens once a year. And they want to go to like a lounge or something. Like I'll go for that celebration. But me, out of my need to want to be out partying and partying, not interested. No, yeah. When you're so focused on your goals, you don't those things. Me getting up or me going to bed at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning is gonna essentially push me back. Yeah, a full day of me doing work. Yeah, exactly. Productivity, getting ahead.
So I want to recap that really quick just to kind of give a little conclusion for everyone. So a few things that you did was you saved at least 10% of your check that you had for your 9 to 5. You stopped eating out on the week. Well, not on the weekends, but you could like drop the week, and then gotcha. And then you took up like a little side hustle where you were doing the tutoring, and then lastly, you just really not. What did you say? I wouldn't say like you don't drink, but you really at that point was just prioritizing. Like
exactly, yeah. And I know about a lot. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with drinking. I don't hate drinking. I just personally, it's not something that I enjoy. Right. I would prefer if you are going to invite me anywhere, I gotta have food.
Right.
Of course, if there's no food, I'm not gonna be there.
And she's Latina, so she knows what good food is. Okay, I'm Caribbean. She's Latina. We know what good food is. So yeah, invite us up on food.
Exactly. Or if you're inviting me to your house, there's got to be food somewhere.
Correct.
So yeah, spending money on alcohol does add up. And people live for the weekends. Right. Not everyone, but a lot of people do live for the weekends. They work Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday is like, oh, yeah, I got a break, and then you spend $100, $200, yeah, on just alcohol. So those $200 could have been in your savings account or in an investment account, making you 4, 3 times more of what you just spent.
Yeah. So you like it really just came down to just prioritizing discipline.
Absolutely.
Discipline. That's our parent because some people feel like, oh, I need a specific like financial strategy or something I can stick to, but it's simple. Just save your money, discipline, and know that everything's temporary.
Exactly.
So after you turn in your 2 weeks, so after you saved for your 2 weeks living with your parents, how were you able to make your business sustainable? Because I feel like that's one thing people are afraid of. They're like, yeah, I'm ready to leave my 9 to 5, and I'm going to leave my 9 to 5. And then when they actually do leave their 9 to 5, it's like, holy crap, like I have to make this thing sustainable. Like this thing has to make me money. Like, what are some things that you had in place or you felt helped you to make Brendalin profitable and to make it sustainable for anybody that wants to start their own fashion brand? So like, how were you able to sustain it?
So I would be lying to you if I told you, oh yeah, I wrote this business plan and it had details of like what I was gonna do by when, how, where, who. I didn't. It was all trial and error. My business partner and I truly just focused on, okay, how do we connect to our customers? Because that's what customers want. That's what they have been asking for. Connecting, having some sort of relationship, not feeling like they're just shopping anywhere. Like if they were walking into Forever 21 or Zara, where it's just like you go in and out. So it truly just took a lot of listening to the customer to try to figure out how to better serve them in a way that was efficient, that was sustainable from our end, as in, yeah, we can reply to customers within 24 hours if they have a question, or have any sort of inquiry. So it was all trial and error. We would do something and then we were like, okay, did it work? Did it not work? Okay, it didn't work. All right, let's try this one other thing. Okay, this worked. We're also involved with the customer a lot in the shopping decisions. So if we were gonna come up with a new design, we'd be like, okay, well, do you like V-necks? Do you like cowl necks? Do you like square necks? Like, what do you like? The customer has always been very involved in everything, and I think that that's what helped us strategically, start pursuing. Exactly.
So how were you like? Because I'm thinking about like, okay, let's say someone wants to implement that strategy into their business. How are you getting that? How are you getting that feedback? Like, how are you engaging with your customers to what they want? Because for a normal business owner or someone who's just starting off, it's like I'm pretty sure it's like pulling teeth to like, get your customers to talk to you to know what to do next, or to even be like, you know what, let me sit down and figure out what it is I should do next. What were some of the things that you guys were doing to get that information? Was it like information from your website, social media? Like, what can someone do to help get feedback from their customers?
So we live in a social media world, and
Which is a blessing. Let's not have first. And mostly a bit blessing.
yeah. So Brendalin&Cora is solely online. We don't have any physical stores yet. Uh, so we had to use social media. We would jump on Instagram lives. We would do reels. We would do just questionnaires like on the actual Instagram story. So I would say Instagram was our hub of figuring out all the information that we wanted. We have also done our first pop-up shop back in like 2019 or something like that, or 2018. And we had like a survey there, just asking people, what are the things that usually shop for the most? Fill it in, and you can get into a raffle to win some money for the store. So it involved a lot of just like communicating with the customer, mostly through social media. And if you ever had any sort of pop-up shops, we would ask, like, just as if I were to ask you right now, what is it that you shop for the most?
I like dresses. I like simple clothes. Like, well, not simple. It's like one, two clothes. Like you said, you have on a romper right now. Like, as long as I know this is what it is, I'm through the door. Like, I don't like to go looking for pieces. Like, anyways, it's not about makeup. It's
Yeah. No, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just me asking you that started that conversation of you opening up and telling me, okay, I like simple pieces where I can just throw them on, get out, and leave, and I can multi-use them.
Yeah.
Which is where a lot of our designs came in, like our bungee cami, our bungee dress, our leggings. They are every day-to-day pieces that you get to wear.
Right.
Cool, mix match.
So basically, for anyone that would like to, let's say, start a fashion brand or any business, you would say like the main thing that helped you guys to at least know what the next step is, or to make your business sustainable was really engaging with your customers and doing what they want.
Absolutely. And it worked for us. That doesn't necessarily mean that's going to work for everybody, but a rule of thumb in general is to know your customer, right? The only way to get to know your customer is to engage with the customer and ask them, what frustrates you? What do you like? What do you not like? When you buy clothes online, what is the one thing that you would like to see on a website in regards to functionality? Since I do come from a system implementation perspective, that was always a big thing for me. It's like, how do we make it easy for you to shop?
Right.
what are your main priorities when you're looking on a website? So yeah, definitely the customer for sure, but also understanding because everything will change based on what you're selling. Yeah. If you're selling obviously skincare products, that's a little bit more intrinsic because everyone's skin is different. That's more yeah. So it take I feel like every industry in general, the strategy would be a little bit more customizable, and that's where research and understanding of who your actual customer is comes in. Gotcha. Good. I like that tip. You know, I feel like honestly, that's a really good tip that we use throughout the majority of industry. Absolutely. Because you can't know, because I feel at times when we start these businesses, you're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna give them what they will give them what I think they want, but we don't really go based off of data. I feel like business is really less about what you like, 100%, and then more about okay, what are the numbers, what are the data, what is actually working. And I feel like if we take a step back and really look at the numbers, like it would tell you what the next step is. Like it would tell you that okay, this was going to take your business from level one to level two. So I love that tip. Thank you. You're welcome. um, so well, that is a blessing, honestly, to be able to have your business to still be alive today in the world. And if you guys haven't, go ahead and follow Brendalin&Cora on Instagram. They just have like the cutest, like I feel like you guys give me like resort luxury. Yeah. In a sense, but like everyday fashionable, like it's super cute. You guys go ahead and follow them. But during those times that I know it just wasn't oh happy day every day. Right. One, it still isn't. You know, every business has lows. Even when it comes to financial, you know, monthly sales and all of that. And it gets tricky because then you're like, okay, what are we gonna do this next month if we didn't make if your usual sales are like $60,000 a month and then now you're at 20, you're like, what happened? Yeah, what did we do wrong? Yeah. Like, how are we gonna make sure we make up that money now? Because now if your goal is 60, now you gotta go for 50. Yeah, because you only made 10 last month. So it's like it's very hard.
In those moments when let's say you didn't hit your quota and to keep in mind this is all you already left your job. This is just rather than a core and your savings. Um in those moments when business wasn't doing as well, like did you feel like you regretted leaving your 9 to 5 or did you felt like you was there any moment where you felt like okay I want to go back to my 9 to 5?
So
Like for real, for
yeah. So just to clarify, because I think I didn't mention this earlier, even though I left my job, um, I was still getting some sort of pay from Brendalin&Cora before I left my job. Okay. It wasn't a full, obviously, it wasn't what I was making with Deloitte at that time, but it was still additional cash that if I didn't have my full-time job and I didn't have savings and I was living at my parents' house, I would be okay. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't something that I was gonna be like, well, I'm gonna be in the street and I can't pay for a lollipop type of thing. Yeah. I would never put myself in that position because it's just no. Yeah. But that's me.
I'm happy you brought that up too. Sorry to cut you off. No. I'm actually happy you brought that up because I feel like a lot of people feel like, okay, you know, they see people like you who left their 9 to 5 and, are doing full time in their businesses, but you were actually making income from your business before. Yes. So like, society, social media could glamour, like make that seem like a
No.
like a highlight reel, like yeah, leave your 9 to 5, jump right into business.
No.
Yes, great. Go after your dreams, go after your aspirations, but be smart about it at the same time.
Absolutely. Unless you have funding from like angel investors or any other sort of investors, or your parents are literally paying for absolutely everything for you, which was not my case. You need to make sure you're making some sort of money from the business. You can't just leave your job because you're tired of your job, right? Because what's gonna happen? You're gonna run out of those funds at some point, yeah, and you're gonna be like, "Oh crap, I'm gonna have to go back." And it's going to set you back even more, yeah, because I have to start all over again.
Yep. So, were there any things like that?
Yes. I did have several instances in which, like, actually, when I when it was my last day, I literally cried. I was crying because when I got into my master's program, I told myself, I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna get 6 job offers before I graduate, and I'm gonna get into consulting, and I'm gonna be working for one of the big four consulting firms. That was my thing. Right. I that was the intention. That's why I went to business school. It was that or nothing else, and I did it. And the fact that I had now accomplished a goal that was so big for me and now had to leave it because it was no longer serving what I was expecting it to serve. It was kind of sad, It was kind of sad for me, and like leaving all of my coworkers, because I had really good relationships with them. I was like, wow, it was very sad.
I think imagine.
I was happy, but there was a feeling of sadness. Yeah, because I know a lot of people would be like, oh yeah, well I went to school and now I'm over here like not even making the same amount of money that I could have been making if I was in 9 to 5.
And you were.
Yeah. So some people would take it as like a hit to their ego.
Yeah.
I'm not very egotistical. I'm like very good. Whatever I put myself like my mind to, I'm gonna accomplish no matter what.
Yeah.
And if that's not the route, there's gonna be another route for me. So that has always kind of kept me in the. Don't get me wrong, I've dealt with lots of anxiety.
Yeah. I can imagine.
But at the end of the day, nothing is
right. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is like permanent. Like exactly. You're gonna have high lows. You're gonna have high lows in your business. You're gonna have high lows in your 9 to 5. So you just kind of felt like you remembered like what you were going through.
Yeah.
And when in those moments when you felt like you wanted to go back.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I honestly could be working, making this much money right now and not stressing about what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Because it does. One thing people don't realize when you own a business is like no one else is holding you accountable but you.
Yeah.
If you don't make sales, you don't get paid, right? Like there's just no if and buts about it.
Yeah. Okay. So would you say that's like the hardest part of entrepreneurship, like working for yourself, is like that accountability?
Absolutely. The accountability, the stress, the what the heck is gonna happen next month, the oh my god, like we may not have enough money to like pay other employees, or like it happened to us with like production of some of the items that we designed.
Yeah.
Where it was just at fault after COVID. It wasn't even during COVID, it was like after COVID. Um, which, hit us hard because at this point we couldn't even get fabric in. So yeah, everything was stopped at the port because there was no workers.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so I mean, that's good to be able to be honest about that because I feel like since, like I said, like social media kind of like glamorize, like having your own business and stuff like that, but like you have to be honest about what you're getting yourself into because there were so
yes,
many business ideas that I've thought of, and the second I actually like map it out and really like get down to the nitty gritty, I'm like, okay, yeah. No. It has to work for you. Like just have someone doing it. That's because someone sees you running your fashion brand. Like, that doesn't mean like, that's cut out for them to do.
absolutely. It takes a lot of mental strength. It could also you also go into you could potentially experience depression because of the pressure. Um, which it happened to me. I felt like I was like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
Like I went to school, I did this and that. Why am I putting myself in a position to make my life harder?
Yeah.
Because that's what you do as a business owner. You're making your life 10 times harder for a goal or a type of lifestyle or the freedom of wanting to just be your own boss.
Right.
So yeah.
And being your own boss is not.
It's not what everybody thinks. It's not just the cute little Instagram where you have to do which are annoying to me. It takes a lot of time.
Which you're actually killing it. Listen, I love Brendalin's page, okay? And what I like about her page too, she's not like some like businessy person, strict. I'm a business owner type of girl. Like she talks about like relationships. Like she just it's just the cutest, funniest things, and I feel like I should follow her. Because it's just like she just looks like she has fun, but I also know on the back end you're like it's a lot working on shit and trying to get stuff done.
Yeah, and my goal is always to be as transparent as I am in person, and to be as transparent on social media because you do come across a lot of people who are one thing on social media and then they're totally. Yeah. How I'm talking to you right now is exactly how I am.
No, I
Anybody else
I got that.
social media.
No, I don't. I feel like I definitely feel like you're the same person I see on social media that you are in person on. So good job. And that's one thing I hope whenever I meet someone or like I do these interviews. I'm just like, I just hope that I'm meeting the person that I usually see on social media, just so that I know that what I'm running into.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So that's good. But yeah, definitely follow her. Like she just has like the cutest reels. I know she's talking about like how hard they are, but like she posts a reel like almost every day. I'm like, I can't keep up. Like I want to post reels every day.
I try to. And
But you
obviously,
look fun though. I mean, like you make it
they're
fun.
fun. They're fun. Like they make me laugh. They make me feel when I'm doing them. So I'm like, listen,
You have to have fun with it. I mean, like Instagram and social media at this point, you just have to have fun with it. Absolutely. It can get so like pressure, like it's this much pressure to like show up a certain way or look a certain how, but like you just show up having fun and just be who you are outside of business. Like it's not like, oh, I'm Brendalin, I'm a business owner, and I have to be,
yeah, all the time. No, yeah, and I think that that's very important because
that
when you do business overall, you are trying to do business with you, and not trying to do business with your business.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there needs to be some sort of personality, some sort of connection between me and someone else, and I'm not gonna fake who I am to be able to get a sale from someone.
Right.
I am who I am, and if you don't like me, that's totally fine. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
Just don't be
right. Yeah, I guess not my person.
Yeah.
No, I love that. So, kind of bringing the conversation on the interview to a conclusion. And by the way, I probably told you this a million times. You are killing it. Like, I already knew that you would have been a great match to have on the show. So, just thank you for showing up and showing out. Um, what is one piece of advice you would give for someone who wants to leave their 9 to 5? And you want to give some tips for like, what's like one thing that you would say for leaving their 9 to 5 or even wanting to start a fashion brand or any type of business before leaving their 9 to 5?
Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else is gonna believe in you. You're not gonna be able to convince anybody else to believe in you. If you are not 100% sure that this is what you want to do, whether it is selling a piece of gum or clothes or shoes or a service, if you don't believe and show up as your true authentic self, right, no one is going to actually trust you or want to do business with you. So believe in yourself, stay authentic 100%. Actually, I would put authenticity at number one. Believe in yourself and don't let anybody tell you you can't do something.
And what is one quote or what is something that you do to help you? Well, actually, yes. What's like one quote like just live by? Like, are you that person? Like, I feel like some people like
I love quotes. So
me too. I just feel like when you hear them, they stick with you, and it sometimes words like shift you. And like when you hear a certain quote, like, oh my god, like I really need to hear that.
yeah.
So like, what's one quote that you just live by?
So there's a lot of them, but at the moment, the one that has been hitting me the hardest, or that I've kind of been following on a day-to-day basis, is that an insecure person is an unsure person. So if you are someone who's unsure about the decisions that you're going to make, you will portray to be an insecure individual, and vice versa. If you're an insecure person, you're not going to be able to make sure decisions or be confident into what it is that you're getting yourself into.
Nice. An insecure person is an unsure person. Perfect. Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brendalin. I already know that this conversation was going to be so good, not only for the audience, but for myself. And I hope everyone was able to take what they need to pursue like the next step in their life. But besides that, tell the people how can they follow you, Brenda and Cora? Like, what's your IG? What's the best way to get in contact with Brenda for people who just want to follow you after this?
Yeah, well, my personal page is just Brendalin.C, and the business page is Brendalin&Cora. We also do have a website, which is Brendalin&Cora.com. You can find us on TikTok. You can find me on TikTok. I'm sure there's not a lot of Brendalins out there, so you'll be able to find us. And then if you do have any questions on the website, there is a contact form where you can reach out to us with any questions or suggestions you may have.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I will go ahead and leave all the links in the description box to follow Brendalin and, of course, to follow me and our business page. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. Bye.
That way,